Today is February 21st, 2026, and welcome to the 476th episode of the Videogames podcast. Here on the show, I talk about any game at all, including new stuff, old stuff, and anything in between. My name is Brad Galloway, and I'm the one-man host of the show, and I'm also the editor of GameCritics.com, a website that uses the full range of review scores from 0 to 10 and offers full accessibility info on every review we publish. Hello, thank you all for joining me today. You can't tell by listening, but I'm recording this a day early. The last couple shows have been coming in a bit late. I'm going to change that up today, flipping the script, as it were. Starting today, may not get the whole thing recorded, but I'm getting a jump on it because tomorrow is the Logitech Adaptive Esports Tournament, a wonderful, inclusive video game tournament for prizes and cash that invites players with disabilities of all kinds to come and have a good time and compete. I am performing the ASL portion of that show, so I'll be interpreting the entire show. So if you want to tune in, you can see that. By the time this podcast is up, it probably will be over, but you can go and watch the feed on YouTube. I believe you can see all past tournaments up there somewhere. So check that out if you'd like to see yours truly in action. So because I am going to be busy for a chunk of the day tomorrow, starting today to get as much of this done as possible, so hopefully I can get the show out on time. So check that out. It's going to be a good thing. Let's just get into it, folks. Let's take advantage of the time that we have. Time is of the essence. Let's not waste time. Time. Okay. Let's see. Let's kick things off with some housekeeping where I talk about tidbits, news items, anything randomly game adjacent that's caught my eye in the last 7 days. There's been a couple things. First off, heads up that Echoes of the End is coming to PlayStation Plus subscription service. I'm not sure exactly what date. It may already be up by the time you're hearing the show. This is the debut game from Icelandic studio Mirkor Games. I'm sure I'm butchering that. I apologize to all of the Icelandic people. But check it out. It's kind of like God of War Light with 2 people, and they lean into the storytelling, and there's some pretty cool backgrounds. I'm assuming they used a lot of the natural Icelandic landscape as inspiration. I talked about it on the show a while ago. I thought it was a pretty good time. Ultimately, I didn't stick with it because, well, a few things. But that we're not here to talk about that. What I am here to talk about is that game is available, and Mirkor seems like a studio that is worth watching. A little bit of roughness here on their first attempt, but boy, it was a really respectable first attempt. And I think having it available for people who have PlayStation Plus or whatever, that's a great way to jump in and just kind of see what they're all about. So good get from PlayStation, and so check that out. Let's see. I already mentioned Adaptive Esports tomorrow. Oh man. Couple of I can only say it's bad stuff. First, Blue Point Games is closed or closing. They're shuttering. I don't know if it's already done, but Blue Point Games, you may remember, are the studio that got famous for doing really cool ports, really well done ports. They did Shadow of the Colossus, and they were very open and transparent about their process, about how much of the jank do they keep and how much do they fix. That was really interesting process behind the scenes, and the game turned out great. They did the Uncharted collection. I don't think I played that one, but I remember hearing it was well done. They did the Demon Souls, remake, which I kind of view as the definitive Demon Souls now. They fixed some things, tweaked some things, and it's still the great game that it always was. That to me is, I think, the best version of Demon Souls to play, which is no small feat. So they made their name by doing these baller ports, and apparently Sony, bought them or whatever, roped them in somehow. And we haven't heard anything from Blue Point for a long time. A lot of us, most people, if you were a betting person, would have said Sony bought Blue Point in order to get them working on the Bloodborne port, which friggin' everybody on Earth is where's the updated Bloodborne? It's one of FromSoft's most popular games. Blue Point has done a great job with FromSoft properties in the past. Why are they not doing this? It's money left on the table. It's a fucking no-brainer. Everybody in the world wants it. And everybody was thinking that's what they were doing. Nope. That's not what they were doing at all. They were working as a support team for some bullshit God of War live service slop. So that game is canceled, I believe. A lot of online stuff is canceled at Sony right now. And Blue Point is closed. They're just, I guess, just letting this incredibly talented studio go. I guess it's shuttering the doors or laying them off. It's bonkers to me that you would take such a talented group of folks, put them on work that they're not known for, work that they shouldn't be doing, and then let them all fucking go when you close the doors on your next stupid bullshit game as a service game. Oh, man. What an injustice. My heart goes out to all the Blue Point folks. I was definitely a fan of your work. Much respect for me, especially in a industry where people who do great ports don't often get a lot of spotlight or a lot of love. So pouring one out for my homies at Blue Point. Hopefully they're all going to land somewhere. They clearly got talent. They clearly got skill. So somebody out there, please give these folks a job. Man, fucking crazy. The other thing, which I can only see as bad news, is that Phil Spencer and Sarah Bond are leaving Xbox. I think Phil Spencer, it was pretty well liked. I believe Sarah Bond was pretty well liked. I don't know exactly. I mean, it says that they're leaving. I guess he's retiring or what, but Sarah Bond is not taking over. She's leaving as well. There's a little bit of question marks surrounding that. We don't have a lot of details. The other Xbox guy, Matt Booty, that you might know, he's getting, I guess, promoted to be like, I believe, the number 2 person. And the new number 1 person is somebody that like nobody's ever heard of. It's a woman named Asha Sharma. She is not really coming from the world of gaming. She is coming from Instacart. Instacart. Sounds funny when I say it. Instacart. And she's currently the president of Core AI operations at Microsoft. Boo hiss. So I'm sure you can understand why I've got a little bit of trepidation about this. AI is something that I want absolutely less of. It is making people stupider, like clinically proven to make you stupider by using it. It is burning through the available fresh water here on Earth faster than we can replenish it. We are going to be hitting a freshwater shortage in the next couple of years. And it's also ruining the environment for people, mostly people of color or lower income people in various states wherever they set up a data center that runs AI, it ends up turning out a bunch of pollution in the water and in the air. It's making people really sick. Incidences of cancer are going way up in towns that are next to a data center. So AI is shit. It's really terrible, and everybody's leaning into it. All the tech bros are leaning into it, and that's bad enough. But to hear that AI and Microsoft is going to be a thing, specifically Xbox, I don't want that. I don't want any AI in my Xbox. I don't need AI fucking anything. And this lady, Miss Sharma, shows up, and she's like, yeah, I'm not from gaming, and I've got something to prove, and I'll prove that we're going to bring Xbox back. And I'm like, well, it didn't go anywhere. Like, what do you mean bring it back? So I'm not sure what that means. And she's also saying something like, we're going to put tools in your hands and the gamers are going to tell their own stories and blah, blah. Like, what? Like, I don't need a button on my Xbox controller that says push to create a game. I really don't. I really, really don't. So I have nothing but bad feelings and, I don't know, sick feeling in my tummy about this news. Maybe next generation I'll go back to being a PlayStation person. Our whole family jumped on the Xbox bandwagon with the X and the S, and that's been a pretty good decision for us as a family with Game Pass and the availability of consoles and such. We've all been connected and playing, so that's been great. But if the next Xbox is like XAI or some bullshit, I'm out. I'll just go and buy a place, like whatever the next PlayStation is. Or fuck, I don't know. Maybe by that time, like a Steam box will be a thing. Who knows? So, yeah, I don't feel good about that, folks. Do not feel good about that. Let's see. What else am I going to talk about? Oh, yeah, I can mention what we ran at Game Critics this week. What did we run at Game Critics this week? We ran a review from a brand new writer. Let's see. Let me look it up. I don't have my notes ready because that's the kind of guy that I am. John Powell. Hello, John Powell, if you're listening. He wrote a review of Salt 2, Shores of Gold, a little pirate open world ditty that came out of early access recently. First time writing for us, so welcome to John. We have a Reanimal review by Jason Ricardo, the new one from Tarsier Studios. Basically Little Nightmares with a different skin. Jared Johnston is bringing up the rear with his top 10 of 2025, the very last the very last top 10 of 2025 we're going to publish. He's got just the top 10, or not just the top 10, but a bunch of other stuff as well, like random also rans and various awards and stuff like that. And we've got a whole wealth of other things at Game Critics you're welcome to come and check out. We would love it if you would pay us a visit, so please come and do that. Let's see. Shout out to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/@gamecritics.com videos. We've got some new trailers up there. I know Eugene has been doing some Let's Plays and some quick looks and stuff like that, so check those out as well. And what else do we got here? Questions. Oh yeah, questions. Mike in the Discord asked a question. What's up, Mike? Thank you for your question. And this kind of, I guess, maybe ties back to what I was talking about a second ago. He says, hey, Brad, what are your thoughts on the PS6 potentially being delayed at 2028, not 2008, I have to time travel, 2028 or 2029? Good. Fine. Yes, please do that. We were just talking about that in the Discord a couple days ago. And if you, by the way, if you're listening and you haven't joined the Discord yet, you are more than welcome to come aboard. Like, it's free. All you got to do is let me know you want an invite. I'll shoot you an invite. You can come on in. If you're a regular listener, we would love to talk to you. Join our growing community of really cool folks. So do that. I'll get some information about that later. But okay, yeah, I'm fine. I am fine with that. I do not feel like developers are fully maxing out the potential of the PS5. I feel like the games we're getting are great. I feel like they look good, they control good, but there's still room to grow. I do not feel like the hardware is straining in any way. I am in no rush whatsoever to buy a new console. The prices of consoles are going up and up and up, and I believe, last I checked, it's actually more expensive to buy a PS5 now than it was at launch, which is insane. That is going the absolute wrong way. Also, with another downside of AIs are using up all the chips and the RAM and the memory and all that stuff. It's becoming a big problem. And I shudder to think how much a PS5 would cost if AI data centers are using up all the available hardware. So I'm in no rush whatsoever. I'm fine with my PS5. I honestly haven't used it all that much. It's still got plenty of miles left on it. Knock on wood, hopefully. Knock, knock, knock. Yeah, it's good. I'm whatever, man. I don't want to shell out another $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 to get like a fractional increase over what we've got now. I mean, I kind of feel like we've kind of topped out for a while. I don't really see like appreciable gains, not in the way that we've gotten with past generations, where you can the difference between like, I don't know, N64 and the next generation of something, or going from like PS1 to PS2, huge leap, right? Or like between any two generations in the past, big leap. But now I feel like, I mean, shit's largely photorealistic when you want it to be, or it's like easily stylized when you want it to be. We're capable of like really incredible graphics, and I think online is definitely a thing for a lot of games these days. I feel like it's pretty good space. We're in a good place. I don't really feel like I'm jonesing for anything new, and I'm not really hearing from developers about, oh, we're so frustrated, we're maxing out the power of the PS5, and now our development is I'm not hearing any of that stuff, which is something that you would hear around the time that we get ready to transition to the next generation. I don't hear any developers talking about that, not even a bit. So I have to assume, and if you're a developer and you feel that way, please let me know. Reach out anonymously if you wish. But I'm not hearing any of the usual grumbles that will signal a jump forward. And I sure as fuck don't want Sony to put out a PS6 with AI being the core of it. Fuck everything about that. I mean, y'all know I'm not a PC player. I am not a PC player. But if that was the next generation, if both AI was implemented in Xbox and PlayStation, if that was their core function, I think that would drive me to PC gaming. Like, honestly, I think it would. So yeah, I'm in no rush whatsoever. I don't care. I don't want it, don't need it. I'm totally content with what matter of fact, I haven't even jumped up to the Switch 2 yet, and I play the Switch like basically every day. But I'm still pretty happy with the Switch. I mean, I know there's some upgrades there, but playing Mini Metro last night, that's pretty good. And playing some 2D games recently. I have Lost in Space I'll be talking about soon. I'm very excited about that. So I'm new games still coming out for it. And to be frank, as the editor of GameCritics.com, most of the solicitations we're getting for review games are still on the Switch. Sorry, tangent here. Very few games are Switch 2 only, almost none. So I don't really see a reason to jump up there. And by extension, I don't see anybody talking anything convincing me that we're anywhere near a PS6. So yeah, man, kick it down the road 2-3 years. I'm fine. Like, I think the PS5 rocks. It's totally fine. All good. No complaints. Not upset about that at all. All right, folks, before we get to the main part of the show, just a quick heads up about the Patreon supporting this show and sister site, GameCritics.com. All the costs of both sites are paid for out of my pocket. This pocket right here that my hand is in right now. Lying. I'm wearing PJ pants. And they're comfortable. They're so comfortable. If you love the show, I would invite you to chip in and help me keep everything running. Or if you like the website too, that too. Either way, if everybody listening or everybody reading GameCritics.com would chip in just $1 a month, just one, folks, $1 a month, every expense would be covered. And if you could afford it, I would super appreciate it. Speaking of which, big shout out to Mike Dine, who just became a subscriber, a paid subscriber. Thank you very much, Mike. I do have a Discord invite waiting for you if you would wish to claim it. And if you would like to say anything on the show, I'm happy to pass the message along. You got questions, comments, anything, happy to do that for you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining the Patreon. Really appreciate it. And if you want to do the Discord, we can do that too. Thanks, Mike. All right, folks. Let's get on to something a little bit more game-oriented. Let's do circle backs. Haven't done circle backs for a while because I've been pretty busy with new stuff, but we do have some time to circle back here. These are the games that I've covered in depth on previous episodes. Not going to get into all the details right now, but just think of this as a quick update, let you know if my thoughts have changed on something for better or for worse after spending more time with it. First, circle back really quickly, just Graveyard Keeper. I'm still playing it. I haven't talked about it for a while, and I know I was talking about it a lot lately. But it's one of my white whales, as was brought up in the Discord today, talking to a friend of the show, Mike Susky, and he was mentioning something about Slay the Spire 2, and that kind of got us talking about Slay the Spire 1, and Slay the Spire 1 is one of my white whales, and by that I mean it's one of those games that I loved, sunk a ton of time into, but never finished, and that it's really difficult to beat Slay the Spire. You need a lot of luck, you've got to have good RNGesus on your side, and then you've got to have a good strategy, and things just have to like fall your way. And I have a couple friends actually, and honestly, this kind of pisses me off. Nothing against them, but just like life-wise, I know multiple people who have finished Slay the Spire, and it drives me fucking crazy when I hear about anybody finishing it because I spent so much time on that fucking game, and I came really close a couple times, and then I just started getting really bad luck. Really, RNG Jesus did not like me, and I just had bad run after bad run after bad run, and it was just making me really frustrated. I got all the way to the final boss a couple times and just didn't win the battle because it's crazy hard. You got to have things just line up exactly the right way. And so that's one of my white whales. I'm definitely going to come back to that one in the future. Need revenge on that one. And the other white whale is Graveyard Keeper. So that's why I bring that up. Graveyard Keeper, I'm like 60 hours into it. I kind of put it on hold a little bit because of all the other things I'm covering for the show right now, but I am chipping away at it a little bit here, a little bit there, trying to figure out which quests I can do. Now, because I'm kind of hitting like the end game stuff where you need to have like maxed out your skill tree, and you need to have a couple other supporting systems in place. For example, you need to make like a gold star steel chisel to give to somebody to complete one of the quests, and you can only make that gold star steel chisel by like having the best furnace and finding the right metal, and then having like the upgrade abilities, and there's like 6 or 7 things that go into it that you build up over the course of playing the game, and there's so much in that game. Graveyard Keeper, huge game, super deep game, really nuanced, really cool. I love Graveyard Keeper. It's like a masterpiece, honestly. And if it had better tutorials, I'd give it like a 10 out of 10. Tutorials are pretty busted. It needs some like in-game codex or something to kind of help you out a little bit. But if it had those things, 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. But it doesn't have those things. So I'm doing that. Also still chipping away at Neo 3. Having a great time. We're having a lot of discussion about that in the Discord. Several people jumping on board the Neo 3 bandwagon, which is great because I think it's a great game. It's fun. It's just really fun to play. Story is stupid. It's like, it doesn't even matter what the story is about. And in fact, it's kind of a time travel story, and I didn't even realize it was for like hours. And when I finally realized it, I'm like, oh, am I in a different time period? Is that what's happening? Am I traveling through time? Oh, okay. I had no fucking idea because it's such a poorly told story. This story is just like garbage in this game, but doesn't matter because it's really fun to play. Action is great. The ability to customize your characters is great. Lots of player agency here, fast action, really cool stuff. Bosses are hard, but you can do those with some perseverance. It's just a great fun fucking game to play. Feels good in the hands. Feels good to run around and kill monsters. It just feels great to play that game. And so I give it a total pass on the story because it's just such a good time. So those are the only things I'm kind of working on right now. And I think that's the end of the circle backs. Okay, let's get into some new stuff. I've got, I think, 4 things to talk about here that are brand new. First up, talking about Sovereign Syndicate. Got this, and I believe, let me look at the, yep. All the games I'm talking about today have been provided to me by the publisher for free. No cost to me whatsoever. So just heads up, full disclosure, according to FCC regulations, all these games I'm talking about, free of charge. Got those as a gift. There you go. Okay. Sovereign Syndicate. It is like a steampunk 3/4 view PC style RPG, sort of, is kind of what it looks like when you watch the trailers. But once you start playing it, you're like, oh, this is actually, and I don't mean to be disrespectful. I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. But this feels like a clone of Disco Elysium is what it feels like. I'm not exactly sure what the story is. You start the game as this Minotaur, maybe just a bull-headed guy, which I guess is kind of what a Minotaur is. I don't know. You're like a anthropomorphic bull, buffalo, bison kind of guy with a top hat. And this is steampunk, so there's like gears all over the place. And it's like an alternate history sort of a thing. And you choose your stats and your leaning for your character. You can be like an aggressive, thoughtful, clever, or sneaky, I think. And this is one of those RPGs where like you don't even know how the game's going to play, and they make you choose your character first, which is stupid. I'm hoping that later on you're going to get a chance to change what your persuasion is, because as soon as I made my choice, I regretted it. I'm like, oh, okay, now that I see what this game is like, I actually made the wrong choice. I need to go back and change it, but I didn't. Once you get into the game, and to be fair, I haven't played a ton of this. I just kind of scratched the surface of it, just kind of dove in for a quick look. But like basically everything you look at is exactly like Disco Elysium, where like, you know, you never know when something's going to be dangerous to your psyche to look at. And you have, I think, 4 voices within your head. You've got like the things I just said, like the clever, the angry, the sneaky, and the charming or whatever. And so when you click on something, you'll get like a bunch of text to read, and then like you get the associated points that are assigned to like whatever personality trait the game thinks it is. And sometimes it hurts you. Like, for example, in one of the very first areas, there's a garbage can, and I'm learning the game. I don't know what to expect or whatever. So I click on this garbage can, and the guy's like, oh, it's stinky. Do you want to keep looking? And I'm like, I don't know. Maybe there's gold in here. Maybe there's a weapon. I don't know. And so I keep going, and it just ends up being sardines that are rotten or something. And it does like 1 like mental health damage to him because he shouldn't have kept going. And then there was like a little squabble in his between the mental personalities or whatever. So I'm like, okay. So this is Disco Elysium. This is basically what it is. Steampunk with a Minotaur, bison guy, whatever. Disco Elysium. So then I walk around. You pick up a bunch of quests right off the bat, but like you don't know how to do them or not sure how to progress. And it just is one of the games, just like Disco Elysium, where you need to like click on a bunch of things and put some things together and read a ton. Everything you click on has a ton of text attached to it. And that was really novel and interesting and challenging with Disco Elysium, which is, I actually need to get back to. I never finished it. Thought it was very interesting, but I need to get back. But I don't know that I really want a lot of games to do that, though. I think Disco Elysium is what it is. And I feel like anybody who kind of copies that is maybe biting off the wrong tree, barking up more than they can chew, one of those things, whatever. And so I just went from scene to scene, talking to people and just having like a lot of text to read and having like a lot of these internal dialogues with myself. And I'm like, man, I don't know. This is not working for me. If I wanted this, I would play Disco Elysium again. So I guess that's kind of where I landed. I just kind of got frustrated with it because I wasn't really connecting with the plot very much. And literally everything you click on has so much text. And it was just like, okay, I see what you're doing. Okay, I'm good. So that's kind of where I landed with it. I'm not sure if I'm going to put a whole bunch more time into it. It's just not really working for me. But if you want something that is basically exactly like Disco Elysium, here it is. Except you're a steampunk buffalo bison guy, minotaur, whatever. And I believe there's 2 other characters that you're going to cycle through at some point. They're in all the key art, so I'm sure that they're going to be there. Did not get that far. But yeah, this is just basically steampunk Disco Elysium. And if that sounds good to you, check that out. All right. Next up is Howl. This one is an indie deck builder, which also tells an emotional story about a mother who's lost a child. I think the child died, and you're going to the spirit world to get your child back. But also, everybody's like maybe a deer. I'm not really sure where that's going, but the deer theme comes up quite a bit. There's a really strong deer motif. And the story is kind of obliquely told in the beginning, but, you know, it's enough to get you in, and that's fine. Basically, it's like a kind of a 3/4 view, pixel art. You start the game, you get a bunch of deer pictures, and you realize your child is dead. You go to the land of the dead, and it's kind of this, like, I don't know, like 3/4 view, pixel art forest. You're walking around with all these paths through it. You can see enemies before you get there. They're all laid out on a grid, and this is like turn-based tactics, but it also employs deck building mechanics in order to do your attacks and defense and stuff. So it's a combo system. The video of this is pretty attractive, and what it looks like is pretty attractive, but I have to say I cooled off on it pretty quickly for a couple of reasons. I think once you get into the combat, in each combat, I feel like the combat is really hard. There's no difficulty settings, and I'm just learning the game, and I feel like it's pretty difficult. I was talking to Eugene Sachs, who is a video maker and also a review writer at GameCritics.com. Good guy. And he had reviewed this, I think it was last year when it came to PC. I'm playing on PS5, by the way. I'm not sure if I mentioned that. And, as we were talking, he kind of said something that kind of resonated with me. And he was like, oh, I didn't finish that game. It got really hard. And the thing that I noticed, this is still Eugene talking, is that some of these combats feel like a puzzle because the enemies are not random. Their placement is not random. And the enemies that are in each combat is not random. So it's all handcrafted. And he felt like some of these battles were like very, very puzzle-like. And I was like, you know what? That's actually a great observation. I think I agree. Because you're really overwhelmed and outmatched sometimes. And so you've really got to leverage the systems in a strong way, which honestly shouldn't come in until a little bit later. I feel like I was still trying to find my feet when it got really hard. So I think I like deck builders. I like tactical games. And I don't mind when those things are connected. But I feel like the difficulty gets too hard too quick. And the thing that really kind of bothered me about this was there's also like a grinding, leveling up element. You don't just have a deck of cards, and you don't get specific cards after specific battles, which I think personally would have been a good idea. They want you to build your own deck ostensibly the way you want to, but you have to grind resources in order to do that. And so you have to like find objects in the world, like leaves and sticks and charcoal or whatever, and then you have to have enough currency from winning battles, and then you use those currencies and objects to make cards, and each card is a different cost. And so it's kind of up to you what you want to make, but I feel like that's a tricky proposition because if you're still learning the game like I was, I never got out of the first world. And I don't really, I'm like, oh, okay, well, what am I doing? What am I making? What's good? How does this work? And I would build a deck a certain way and then find it didn't quite work for this one battle. And then I'm like, okay, do I need to grind more cards? Do I need to change my deck? I mean, I guess I'm still learning this. And the grind, I think, is what ultimately killed it for me. I don't mind difficulty and I don't mind learning tactics, but the thought that I have to get resources to make the cards, and I could be making entirely the wrong cards. I could be having entirely the wrong idea. Maybe I'm not finding out the solution to a particular combat or whatever. It just started to get really kind of defeating. I would get to a battle, lose, go back, have to like redo the battle, and then like every time you go back to the same point, all the enemies respawn, kind of like in a Souls game. And so that was kind of demoralizing a little bit. And I'm not quite sure that this is the optimal structure of this game. I like the graphics, I like the concept. Tactics plus deck builder works for me. But I think the grind, for me anyway, personally, was a mistake. I would prefer if the developers simply gave you specific cards after specific battles because they know what's coming up. All the battles are there. They're not a surprise. They're not randomly generated. So it would be great if the developers, gave you like a bow and arrow card because they know in the next battle you're going to be fighting birds. Or they gave you a fire card because in the next battle it's going to be like a wood elemental or something like that. I don't think the grind serves it. I think it makes it feel oppressive and a drag way too soon. The grind felt like it set in like almost right away. So I think if it wasn't for the grind, I might have given it more of a shot and really invested a little bit more, but just feeling like I was wasting so much time from the get-go on like trying to earn resources to make cards in order to make a deck, in order to do these battles, felt like too much to ask of me. I did get the feeling that this is a game that's going to probably require a lot of your lifespan to finish. And what I was seeing so far wasn't exciting enough. Did not feel like the proper value proposition for me. So again, I like the style, like the theme, like the concept, but the grind I think is something that I'm kind of allergic to right now. And I don't know if that was really the right move for the game. So not trying to be backseat developer or anything, but speaking as someone who has played a lot of games, and this is the thing that got me out of this game was the grind. Maybe there should be an alternative for that, or if nothing else, difficulty setting, because I do feel like it got quite difficult, and I don't know. I just don't feel like getting kicked in the nuts right off the bat when I start a new game. I like to get comfortable first before someone kicks me in the nuts, and so. Yeah, that was Death Howl. Like I said, did not clear the first world. Spent a lot of time in it, like grinding for cards, playing with my deck, doing battles over, trying to learn systems. I feel like I got a pretty good feel for it, even though I didn't get that far, and I'm out. I think I'm out. I'm not going to come back to this one. So there you go, Death Howl, playing that on PS5. All right, next up is a surprise out of nowhere. Although I guess not nowhere. This game came out a couple of years ago on PC. I don't think it ever hit my radar because not a PC player, but it's now on console, PlayStation for sure. I think it's also Xbox. It's called Showgunners. This is it's a little bit of a surprise. It's kind of a weird hodgepodge. I just started playing it today, so early look right now, but so far I actually really like it a lot. This is kind of like a Running Man, death row game show, kind of like future dystopian thing where they're putting people in a fatal contest against criminals, actually killing people to win cash money and prizes, that kind of a thing. It's a common theme, and one that works. I think it's always kind of instantly fascinating. In this particular game, you play as a main character, and she is a lady, and then you've got a guy on your team who you meet up with quickly. They don't spend a lot of time on backstory. I think they're probably going to dole out the backstory in chunks as you go along, which is fine. I don't need a whole huge intro cutscene to kind of get the gist of what's going on here. But basically, you start the game. You are a lady, and you've got an assault rifle. Your guy who is on your team has a shotgun. And then you go into like XCOM style battles. There's difficulty sliders, I think 4 different difficulties, and it's turn-based, so like regular tactics. So like you go in, there's cover. Every level so far has taken place in kind of like a wrecked mall or a shitty street that's like burned out, or like all sorts of stuff. There's traps all over the place, trash, dirty, fire, just like what you would think a dystopian future kind of looks like. And so it's pretty straightforward in terms of the combat, but I think it works well. There's not a lot of twists so far. You have attack, overwatch, taking cover. Usually you have a heal or a grenade, and then each person has a slot that they can chip something into their brain that lets them run 1 square further, or they can take 5 more extra damage or something like that. And then each person has like 1 special ability. The girl has the ability to run further than her allotted turn and still attack. And the guy has he has the ability to shoot everybody in an arc with his shotgun, rather than focusing on one. So pretty straightforward. But I think what's good about it so far is that the developers really seem to understand the genre well, and they are just like really nailing it so far. So I think the mechanics are solid, easy to understand, straightforward. It works well. It just takes a second to like get in the groove if you've played any of these games before, which is good. They really do lean into the world building, though. There's lots of people to talk to. They give you like little, color commentary. And when you're out in the worlds, it looks like something that you would see like in a, Mad Max movie or something like that, or The Running Man, whatever. And I think that's great too. In between battles. So the thing that's kind of weird about this, though, is like when you get into these arenas, and they call them episodes, like first episode, you're in the Evil Mall or whatever it's called. And you walk around like just freely controlling your character, like in a isometric sort of a viewpoint. And you can find treasure chests that have money you can spend at the shop. There's heal stations. And there's lots of traps all over the place. You can disarm the traps. There's hidden doors and things to find. And also you can talk to fans who are there watching the whole Death Row game show happen. And when you talk to them, they'll be like, give me your autograph, give me your autograph. And there's like a number of different interactions you can have. I haven't seen any copies or duplicates so far. But like people like, yeah, sign this. And sometimes they don't even know who you are because you're not really very famous yet. And so you're signing autographs. And depending on what kind of autograph you sign, it fills up a stat bar that leads to you getting sponsors. And each sponsor, whenever you satisfy their requirements, they give you like a bonus. On the very lowest tier, it's like, oh, if you sign up with Walmart, then you get like 3 extra grenades. And if you sign on with, I don't know, Macrosoft or something, they give you like 1,000 experience points or whatever. So there's a little interesting system there. That's really fun. They really lean into the game show thing like quite a bit. And I just like walking around the world. Like you walk around and then you explore things and check things out. And then like you pop into combat. Sometimes you know when combat's going to happen and sometimes not. Sometimes it's a surprise. And that's kind of one of the good things about it is it feels like more alive than the traditional turn-based tactics game where you kind of like pick your characters, load into a map, do the map, then go back to base. And like it's all pretty like staid and pretty straightforward. But here, like you're in this environment and you're just kind of like walking around and sometimes like something will pop up. Guys come from around a corner. You're like, oh shit, we're in combat now. Or like, you know, you look around and find something and it triggers something else. And there's like little challenges, like there's drones flying around you have to kind of avoid. And it's all pretty straightforward and easy. Like it's not hard, but I think it just really enhances the overall tactical package rather than just being a straightforward thing. It's like you've got this world that you have some, you know, light duty interactions with, and it kind of just like gives you the feeling of being in this fatal game show. Between shows, you go back to a hub, you rejuvenate with their high-tech stuff. You can buy some things. It's pretty basic so far, but I think there's more features to be unlocked. I haven't unlocked yet. Again, just started like earlier today, so I'm pretty early. But I like it a lot so far. I think it's really cool. And one of the coolest things I've found so far is that there's actually stuff to find and stuff you can miss when you're in the world. I got to the final battle of the world or the episode, and they're like, warning, you missed like 1 autograph opportunity and you missed 1 extra combat and you missed like 1 extra chest. Do you want to go back for them or not? And at first I was going to be like, no, but I'm like, well, let's do it and see what happens. And the rewards for going back were actually pretty good. Like more experience from the autograph thing. That was fine. I got a couple chips that I would have missed otherwise, which are not huge. They're not game breaking, but it's nice to have. But the best thing was the extra combat. You had to jump through a couple hoops to find it. And once you found it, I mean, it didn't take ages, but I just had to be a little bit more thorough in my search. Once you found it, it was actually fucking cool. Like, rather than being a straightforward combat, you got into this house. They called it House Party. And then you fight a couple guys, but then all of a sudden the producer of the show pops up in like this mini cutscene. Totally surprised me. Didn't expect that at all. And then he like loads the house with like dynamite and bombs. And then all of a sudden, rather than going from it goes from a traditional combat into like combat plus you need to get to the detonator and turn it off like within 6 turns. So they give you some time pressure. And it just totally changed the feeling of the level. I'm like, okay, this is pretty dope. Like I really like that cutscene, interesting spin, new thing. Got some bonus gear, an extra gun at the end of it. Like it felt like exciting and worth it. And it was fun just to do that part. In other aspects of the other levels so far, they've all been pretty interesting too. They have new guys show up at intervals, which makes sense because it's a game show. They're surprising you. So that's like narratively explained. In one area that we're like fighting in a train yard and the trains come every couple turns. And so you can lure the bad guys on the train, it just instantly takes them out and you got to avoid the train yourself. Interesting level design so far. So I think this is not something that's going to like revolutionize the turn-based tactics genre, but I gotta say I'm really enjoying it so far. Like it's just really well done. Love the attention to detail. I love how easy it was to understand the systems, just get into it. Very straightforward, good UI. I think the level design has been really interesting so far, incorporating the walking around of each ruined zone and looking for treasure chests and autograph opportunities and extra fights is really cool. It's just like each one of these parts isn't really that impressive on its own. And I apologize. I'm not trying to be insulting or demean the work that was done here because I think this is great work. But like taking all of these separate things that don't seem like a big deal at first, but they're all really well done and putting them all together just boosts the entire thing. This thing's absolutely more than the sum of its parts. And I'm really, really enjoying it. It's just like a really good kind of a popcorn game that I kind of just sink into. And I just like, you know what you're getting, but it's still really good. Like it's just satisfying, you know? So I'm having a great time with Showgunners. I think it's quite good. I definitely would like to roll credits on this one. I'm going to add this to my regular rotation. And we'll see where this goes. Hoping we get a couple more teammates, a couple more interesting level designs. This could just be a really fun ride. I'm really digging it so far. So heads up to Tactics fans. It's on PC right now. It's been out on PC for at least 1 or 2 years. And I believe it just came out on console, I want to say 1 or 2 days ago. So it's brand new there. So check that out. Having a great time with it. That is Showgunners. All right, last game of the show, Vampire Therapist. It's just now on console. This came out on PC 1 or 2 years ago, and I dipped into it. I was actually so excited about this one. I did break down and jump onto my computer to give it a shot, and I liked it. Unfortunately, it ran like crap on my laptop, so I couldn't play it sitting on my couch, which was a bummer because I would have played it there. But it's here. It's on console now. Don't have to worry about it, which is great. I'm actually quite surprised to see it here, but I am so glad. This is the full PC version, and it comes with all of the DLC. I think there's 4 separate DLCs that are included, and you get the whole package if you get it on console. What is this? This is a visual novel starring a vampire named Sam. He is a cowboy vampire. He was from the Old West, and he got turned into a vampire, and so he retains his cowboy ways. He, at this point, has been alive for like 250 years or something like that, and he is going to Europe to meet a vampire who is 3,000 years old. And the reason that Sam is doing this is because he wants to rise above his station as a blood-sucking monster. He spent some time in the wild, a slave to his urges, and he has finally, gained his conscience back and his realization of his humanity, and he still has to drink blood. That doesn't change, but he wants to be a better person and a better vampire. So he goes, finds this really, really ancient vampire, 3,000-year-old vampire, and then talks to him because Sam wants to be a counselor for other vampires. He wants to share the knowledge he has gained in his 250 years with, he wants advice from the older vampire, and then together he wants to work and be a counselor for all the various vampires who have different emotional and behavioral problems. So that is the actual basis. Your main character is a cowboy vampire who wants to be a therapist. And gosh darn, if this is the one and only game where I can think of where you have a character like that. It's fully voice acted. This is a visual novel. So most of the screens are, hand-drawn art, which I think is really cute and attractive. I like it. Good style. Everything is fully voice acted, and the voice acting is great. I love Sam's voice. I love everybody's voice. It's really good. And so you start off with an introduction to psychological principles, which are actually based in fact. There's a little crawl at the beginning of the game that says this was created in conjunction with a therapist. And just, FYI, I am a sign language interpreter. I think people who listen to the show have heard that before. And in my work, I was actually a sign language interpreter for mental health services, emergency mental health services, counseling and therapy for like about 12 years. And so I know a thing or two about therapy and counseling. And as I'm playing the game, this is all really ringing true. Like it all makes sense. It feels very based in logic and fact and proven theories. And so I really appreciate that. Like it's really trying to bring aspects of real counseling and real work that you do with people to this game. It's great. I love it. They give you like 5 different, I don't know, like I forget what they call them, like mental cognitive dissonances or something like that. I forget the exact term, but like one of them is like all or nothing thinking, where you're either going to win everything or you're going to lose everything. One of them is being really negative to yourself. One of them is like catastrophizing. One of them is, thinking you have more control over things. They have like little phrases for each one, but altogether so far you've got about 5 different behavioral issues, and then you sit down with the vampire that you're meeting to be your patient, and there's a good variety so far. I think the first vampire is I forget who it is. He's like a Shakespearean actor from Shakespeare. Like he knew Shakespeare. He's like that old. One of them is an Italian countess who was alive during like the time of the Borgias and stuff. So all that like, I don't know, or intrigue in the court and that kind of stuff. And then I think the next one you get to is a girl who was from like Braveheart times or whatever, like, over in the Celtic area. And so you meet these vampires who are, almost all of them are older than you, and they all have various issues. Like they're really sad, or they feel hopeless or despondent, or they're just really pissed off with the human world or whatever, which honestly, it makes sense because, what are vampires before they're vampires? They're people, and people are fucked up and broken and weird and sensitive and they're just really, really human. And so take a human who's already got emotional issues, who already feels unbalanced and unwell, and then make them a vampire and let them live basically forever. I mean, that sounds like a problem. Like, people need help. They need to be healthy. They need guidance, even in our puny human lives. And so multiply that by like 10 or 100, and they need even more help. So you sit down with these vampires and you talk to them. You hear them out, again, fully voice acted. And then whenever they say something, you'll get like a little cue from the game to say, hey, this is your chance to like introduce some of your psychological thinking. And then you get to choose based on a statement somebody just said. So for example, someone will say something like, or one of the vampires is like a YouTuber. And she's like, if I don't keep my followers happy, they're all going to turn on me and my life will be miserable. And so, that's not necessarily true. That's what they think is true. But you don't have to keep your followers happy. If they leave you, there's still life outside of YouTube. It's not like your life's going to come to an end if you lose your followers, right? And so that's kind of what the vampire, he calls her out on. He's like, actually, this is not true. There's more to life. There's other these things. And so you kind of like challenge these people on their little traps that they've set up for themselves in their mind. And then after you talk to them, they go away, and you see each person like once a month, and they come back so often. Between that, you will go down to this club, which is where you are based out of. Your counseling happens upstairs. It's like a cover for the vampires. And so there's like a club downstairs. Drink some blood. You talk to a few people. You take a nap and you come back and do it again. I love the voice acting. I love the art. I love the premise. I love everything about it. I love the use of actual psychological theory. I love talking to these people and really paying attention to what they're saying and trying to figure out how to help them. That's all great. I think this game is really cool and really fun. I'm definitely going to finish this. I like it a lot. The only complaints I have so far, and again, I'm not that far into it, juggling like 4 games right now, so it's hard to put like a lot of time into any one. But I think my only complaint so far is that, number one, it doesn't feel like there's a lot of choice. I didn't have choice in like choosing patients. Maybe I will later. That's possible. And there's not a lot to do between counseling. I was hoping there'd be like a little bit more of just something else going on. Like maybe you go into town or something, or maybe there's some kind of other personal issue that Sam has to deal with or something. Like right now you're basically focused on going to sleep in your coffin, coming out to do counseling, then go back to your coffin, which is fine and it's super entertaining. But I do want them to flesh the world out a little bit. I don't know if it's going to get there. I have no idea. I'm going into this game blind. I haven't read anything, haven't watched any videos. So I'm hoping that it will blossom past what we have. But what we have so far is actually so interesting and fun and engaging. I will still be happy with it, even if it doesn't get bigger. I would like it to just get just like a little bit bigger. And a few more choices would be great. I don't feel like there's a lot of choice so far, other than just like challenging people on their thoughts. But, I would like, hey, which patient do I want to work on? Or do I even want to counsel today? Or, a few more things like that would be nice. I don't know if that's going to pop up or not, so we'll see. But so far, I really like Vampire Therapist a lot. I think it's great stuff. So interesting and unique and different. There's really nothing out there like it that I know of. So if anything I've said sounds even remotely interesting, definitely check it out. And it plays just fine on PlayStation. I think it maps to controller quite well, and it runs fine, so no problem so far. That is Vampire Therapist. All right, folks, that is the game portion of the show. That's officially done, but like many folks, I do spend a few hours, minutes, hours, I don't know, a week in front of screens that don't have menus or life bars. That's right. It is time for the TV and movie roundup. All right, first up is The Burbs. This is a movie from, late 80s, early 90s, something like that, starring Tom Hanks. This is about a guy who lives in the suburbs, and these weird neighbors move in, like a couple doors down, and he thinks they're Satanists, and he wants to find out what's going on. It's kind of billed as a horror comedy. The reason we wanted to watch this was, number one, we were going through a list of like the best horror movies from the 80s, and I believe this was on it. It was pretty low. It wasn't like one of the best, but it was on the list, so we were checking it out. But also, they just rebooted it into a new TV series starring Keke Palmer, I think. It's on Netflix or Amazon or something like that. And so they rebooted it, and like, I don't know, I'm a completist, and whenever something like this comes up, I always want to watch the original thing first, and then I'll go watch the new thing, so I've got like context. I like to compare and contrast. I'm sure you do too. And so we started watching The Burbs starring Tom Hanks. Who else is in it? There's somebody else in it. Carrie Fisher, which was a surprise. Rick Dukeman, who was a pretty popular comic back then. Anyway, we start watching it, and man, it is just boring as fuck. Like, it's not funny. It's not scary. They're just fucking around, talking about the neighbors the whole time. Like, they're not really doing anything. The neighbors are not really making an appearance. Like just like nothing's happening. And so we start watching the movie, and I swear to God, it feels like we spent like 4 days watching it. And by the time I was like, okay, this is just really long. I can't watch this anymore. We still had like 45 minutes left of it. And I was like, oh my God, I feel like I aged. I feel like I had 9 birthdays like between now and the time we started this movie. I could not do it. So we bounced on The Burbs, the original. But I believe Carlos has watched the remake, and I've heard some pretty good things about it. So we are going to watch the remake anyway. And we're going to just skip it. I just don't want to waste time on bad movies. So avoid this. If you're a completist like me, just jump to the new thing and we'll see how that is. Shout out to Jekyll and Hyde on Netflix. I can't remember if I mentioned this before. I feel like I did. I feel like Carlos and I talked about it. Just to quickly recap, this is a 2015 series from the BBC in England, written by Charlie Higson. Basically, it's a reimagining of the Jekyll and Hyde myth. They really greatly expand it, hugely expand it. It's not just one guy. It's like a whole cabal of these evil monsters who are fighting against humanity, and he's kind of caught in the middle. He comes from India. They reworked his origin, and then he goes to England, and then he meets like other members of his family, and they can all transform. It's like this giant, like huge conspiracy war between this British Secret Service who is dedicated to stopping monsters and the evil monsters who want to defeat humanity. There's monsters in it. They're gross. They fight. Jekyll is really strong. I mean, it's like there's love, there's intrigue, there's spying, there's monsters, it's like all wrapped up in like a 1930s kind of flair. Everybody's got the cool coat and they got the cool cars. Like that period drama is just like really cool, but it's also slightly modern in a way. I think it's just great. It's really, really great. It's 10 episodes. And I loved it. I thought it was fucking great stuff. I would genuinely watch like 5 seasons of this. But bad news, there's only 1 season. And I was like, what the fuck? What's going on? And it just came to Netflix. Like this is like, it's literally like 11 years old and it just came to Netflix. And so I looked it up. Apparently, when this ran the first time in England, they put it in a time slot that was too early. They put it at the 6:30 p.m. time slot. And so a bunch of kids who were up during, quote unquote family TV hours saw this, and they were scared, or it was maybe too racy a little bit, and there was like drug usage and there's monsters, and the kids freaked out. And then when the parents saw the kids freaking out, the parents freaked out. They called the BBC and had them yank it off the air, and the whole thing was canceled. So because some schmuck in England put this show in a time slot, which it should never have been. It should have been at like 8 o'clock and afterwards, like, quote unquote grown up time for TV. I don't know why in the world they put it in so early, but the outrage from the parents was so bad they canceled the whole thing, which is a shame because it was great. I loved it. Check it out. I think it's absolutely worth watching. It's 10 episodes. They don't like wrap it all up. I mean, they very clearly were trying to make this into an extended series. They set it up for season 2, but it stops at a place where I feel like it's okay to stop. I mean, it doesn't just like leave you hanging on the worst cliffhanger I've ever seen. So it's fine, but it's definitely worth watching. Like, so entertaining. This show is like 1000% my shit. And if you watch this show and you know other shows like it, please recommend them to me, because I want to watch TV like this 24/7. This is like a great show. Love these elements. Last thing to mention, Anaconda. They just remade Anaconda as a feature film. I think it was last year. Jack Black and Paul Rudd. What? I think the original Anaconda from like the mid-90s starred Ice Cube and J-Lo. And now we've got Paul Rudd and Jack Black. Basically, it's a weird kind of meta movie about Anaconda. These friends who went to college and didn't live out their dreams, just kind of lived their lives. And then I think one of them turns 50 and they're like, oh, we should go back and live our dreams before it's too late. And they want to remake the original Anaconda film that had Ice Cube and J-Lo. They want to remake that on their own indie small budget. So they get together, they rent a boat in South America, they go down there and they try to film the film. And it's kind of like a light comedy, like dumb stuff happens, but there's also like a few other things that pop up. It's about life. It's about like just being at a little bit older, but it's also meta commentary in the movie. There is also like a couple giant snakes. There is action. It's funny. It also feels like a bunch of actors kind of just fucking around on their own. I don't know how they got this movie made, but it feels like maybe Jack Black and Paul Rudd are just like friends, and they're like, hey, we should just fuck around and make a movie, and let's do that. And we're famous enough to get it done, so let's just do it. And it feels weird like that. Like it feels like a a joke somehow, but they're also talking about the movie industry. They're also talking about the Anaconda film itself, the original one. It's just kind of weird, but it was funny. It was really funny. We liked it. It was really light and fun, and it was just like a good time. So didn't see that one coming, Anaconda, but there it is, and it was a good time. All right, folks, that is a show. Before the closing music, we'd love for you to leave reviews, share the show on social media, but most important of all, please recommend the show to your friends, because nothing beats good old word of mouth. And as always, send me your questions and comments. You can email me directly, sovideogamespodcast@gmail.com, or you can hit me on social media. You can find me on Instagram and Blue Sky. It's my name, BradGallaway, all A's, no O's. You can also hit me in the So Video Games Discord, which is totally free of charge. As I said earlier, just drop me a line. Any way you want to get in touch with me, doesn't matter. Email me, hit me up on social media, whatever. Just reach out somehow. Get me through GameCritics.com, whatever you want. Just let me know you're a listener. I will give you an invite to the Discord, free of charge. We'll get you on board to continue conversation. And finally, if you'd like to support the show and help the cost of running this very podcast and also GameCritics.com, you can do that over at patreon.com/the So Video Games Podcast. Every single dollar helps, and €1 helps that much more. Folks, that is going to do it for episode 476. Thank you so much for joining me here in the So Video Games Podcast, and I'll see you next week.